Welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mystic Raven. Alright guys, so I have a new PvP build for Magicka Nightblades. This is called the Switchblade Assassin build. It's pretty good. I was playing around in Cyrodiil yesterday. Wanted to test a couple different builds, situations. I basically went off of my Relentless Assassin build to kind of come up with this build. So we'll go ahead and we'll get into it. Okay, we're going to go in the character sheet first. On dual wield side, we have max Magicka at 37,700. Magic recovery is at 1,865. Max health when you're in Cyrodiil or in Battlegrounds will be 23,784. Max stamina is at 10,505. It's kind of important, but it works out really nice. Spell crit's going to be at 57%. That's really nice with this build. Even though a lot of people wear impen and that will negate some of your damage, it's going to come in handy. Spell resistance currently prior to any applied buff from Shadow Barrier is at 11,000. Physical resistance is slightly under 10. We have everything allocated to Magicka. We are Vampire Stage 4. You know, it really comes in handy, especially with like regen cost and everything else, but you will take some extra fire damage, so just be aware. We're going to be running Witch Mother's Potent Brew. That's going to increase max Magicka, Magicka recovery, and max health. Okay, then we're going to be using the Lover for penetration. Penetration is very important in Cyrodiil. Why? Because people stack the resistance. And let's go ahead on the staff side. Now we will be using a Resto staff. On this side, we're looking at 36,129 max Magicka. Magic recovery still at 1865. Max health 2315. Spell crit has dropped. I will explain why. And let's get into the sets. Okay, now we're going to be running Julianos, you know, good old faithful, along with War Maiden. Now, Julianos, we want the Nirnholm Restoration Staff. Okay? Just going to go ahead and increase healing and any type of damage I will be doing on that bar. It's pretty much a defensive bar anyways, but there are some abilities that will have damaging effects. So we're going to go ahead and slot the Nirnholm. We want a Sword of Julianos, Nirnholm with increase. We have War Maiden's Sword sharpened. Okay, so I'm going to go with the sharpen on this because it's just going to go ahead and give us that extra penetrating value on our target, especially if they're stacking resistance. We're going to be using Valkynscorian headpiece infused max Magicka. We're going to be using Curse of Julianos heavy. So this is 2 heavy, 5 light. Okay, so that's a light head, that's a heavy chest, that's a heavy shoulders, and that was going to be Impen max Magicka. Sash of Julianos, Glyph Health, Divine, War Maiden Glove, Divine, Max Magicka. Now, why am I not going to be using Impen? Because I want a little bit more penetration, so the Divine's going to give me a little bit more from the Lover. We're going to be using Breacher of Julianos, Infused Max Magicka, and Impen Shoes of Julianos, Glyph Max Magicka. Now we're going to have the War Maiden Jewelry set. Now War Maidens is really good with this. Why? Because it's going to go ahead and give us 804 spell crit, max Magicka, spell damage, and then when we go to the dual bar side, we're going to be double stacked up, so it's going to give us that increased spell damage of 386 towards all of our Magicka abilities, and that's what we're primarily doing on that bar anyways. Valkynscorian is really going to be nice because we're going to be inflicting a lot of dots. That's got the chance to proc the Valkynscorian. Comes in really nice, so I love it. Let's go ahead and get into the skills. Sorry about that. Primary bar, we're going to be using the Dark Cloak. I'm not needing the other cloak because I have a high amount of crit. Yes, the Dark Cloak will guarantee the crit, but the other cloak will guarantee the crit. This will go ahead and give me the minor protection. So when I come out, especially if I'm in a 1vx situation, I'm going to reduce the damage I take by 8% for 2 seconds. Keep in mind, the ability lasts 2.9. It's just a nice defensive capability. If you want to use the other cloak, you can do that. We're going to be using Concealed Weapon. Now keep in mind, this is magic damage, so it's a counter version of the Stand Blade. So we're going to be using this. It's going to deal 8,796. This is our burst damage. Also, while slotted, your movement speed while sneaking or invisible is increased by 25%. So I'm able to move a lot faster with this build. That's why it's called Switchblade than most Stamina Blade builds. It's very, very fast paced. We're going to be using Lotus Fan. This is our gap closer. It has a direct damage effect, and it's also going to apply a dot. That's very important because we're going to be using Valkynscorian. So keep in mind, this is going to one of the abilities that's going to help proc Valkynscorian. Now on this bar, I switch this in and out as necessary. While I'm in Cyrodiil, I use the Charging Maneuver. Charging Maneuver is really good because it gives me the Major Expedition. It just gives me really fast pace. So when I go ahead and then cloak, I'm able to move in a very fast paced situation. Okay, so it keeps me very mobile. Inner Light, okay, this is going to give me the max Magicka, also the Major Prophecy. That pushes it up to the 57%, right guys? That's where I want to be, so you know, it just comes in handy. Also, Soul Harvest, Magicka damage. Once again, we're double stacked up, right? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go with this. It's very cheap ultimate. It's going to deal 13,848 magic damage. But keep in mind, it's going to get reduced. I'm hitting about 7K on this ultimate. You know, it's really nice. Plus, it gives the Major Defile, reducing my target's healing received and their health recovery by 30%. When I kill the target, I gain 7 ultimate. Okay, now on the back bar, Healing Ward, no surprise, that's why I'm running the rest of those staff. Just goes ahead, it gives me a self-sustaining heal, plus it's going to mitigate damage. The more damage I take, the more it's going to mitigate, up to 300%. So love it. Degen, once again, it's a dot. It's going to help proc Valkynscorian. And then on top of it, it's going to give me the Major Sorcery. I'm going to get the passive activation for Might of the Guild. That increases my damage by 40%. And I can just go ahead, apply the dot, switch over, and then hit my, you know, direct damage. Works out, can proc Valkyn. Always. Refreshing Path, once again, this can proc Valkynscorian plus self-sustaining heal, and then when I activate it, I get the passive in the Shadow Barrier, which is going to go ahead and increase my physical and spell resistance by 5,280. Now, that's why I want 2 heavy, because it's going for every piece, it's 25% increase. So I get a 50% increase in time for wearing 2 heavy. So I'm going to lose 2% for not having a, you know, a 511. But it's well worth it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead using the Piercing Mark. Piercing Mark is going to go ahead, especially for tanks or other Nightblades that I don't want to escape me. I hit them with the Piercing Mark. Hello, Mustang. And that's going to go ahead and reduce their resistance. Big time. It's really nice. Also, Mistform. I don't have this morph yet, but I will be taking the other morph that will go ahead and give me the Major Expedition. This just go ahead, if I'm in a clutch moment, I need to escape, I need to get that extra, you know, reduction in damage, comes in handy. And then I'm going to use Devouring Swarm, especially for multiple targets. So get the self-sustaining heal, plus deals the magic damage. And that's pretty much the build in its essence. Now you can go ahead and switch out with Mass Hysteria if you want to. So if there's like a place that you want to throw the Mass Hysteria, you could throw it on the back bar. Also keep in mind, one of the major things when I'm in a battleground, I usually switch out the Charging Maneuver for the Impale, and you can do that, but just keep in mind that Major Expedition comes in handy. So if I go ahead and I slot this, yes, I got a little bit more speed in Magicka, but when I go with the Charging Maneuver, I just have a lot more mobility. So, yes, I'm giving up an attack for it, but I'm really fast. I can move in and out around my target, just pick it, and then go. So, it works out really nice. All right? So, that's pretty much the build. And like I said, I was just, you know, playing with different configurations yesterday in PvP. Did really well with this build. It's been a while since been on the Mageblade. I know a lot of people have been asking, what about Mageblade PvP? Is it, you know, as viable as Stamblade? It's actually, in my opinion, way more viable than a lot of Stamblade builds because I have a lot of self-sustaining heals. You know, when I throw up that path, I can pull Nightblades out of stealth. I'm getting that Shadow Barrier buff. You're going to see it up here in the right corner, right? you're going to see my buff here. My major resolve and my major ward, right? Comes in really handy. Also, when I go ahead and switch, I'm also getting it from the cloak. That's another reason why I want to take that. I want to take that reduction. Comes in really handy. So I'm really liking it because I have just a lot more capability, a lot more fluent running. It's nice. I love it. I love this build. Valkynscorian gets the proc. I got 3 different abilities that'll proc the Valkynscorian. And if they keep up with, you know, try to get me on a 1v1, a lot of times I was burning a lot of players in 1v1 situations yesterday. I was even surprisingly getting a couple of Sorks. A couple of Sorks got me in with their procs, but, you know, I mean, it is what it is with Sorks. But at the same time, you know, I was facing off with Stam Blades, Stam Sorks, DKs, all sorts of stuff. And it was really nice. It was working out to my advantage, this build was. Mystic, do you know if fighters guild level by amount of kills, or is it the amount of XP? It's the amount of XP per undead or Daedra. Morning, Robert. But yeah, really nice build here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this feed off, and I'm going to be doing another one. But yeah, I definitely wanted to give this build out. It's really nice. Mageblade is definitely got a lot of capabilities. You got a lot of flexibilities in and out of your you know, skills. Like I said, if I'm in a battleground, I'll take off the major expedition. I'm in a shorter, you know, arena, I'll go ahead, I'll put the impale there. But in Cyrodiil, it just, I don't need impale as much. I can go ahead, line them up with the dots, go ahead, keep the charging maneuver, cloak in and out, run circles around them, and just hit the execute. Made it at the beginning today, yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely it's a really good build. It's a solid build. You know, not too many negatives to it. It's going to be more like, you know, bar swapping, keeping everything up. Yeah, the sets I'm running is the War Maiden and Julie, Good Old Faithful. So, comes in handy. You know, I pretty much love it, and I'm running the Valken. So I basically took the Relentless Assassin build and configured it for PvP. Worked out really nice. I was really happy with it. Was doing some PvP. There was a couple of incidences where, you know, I just got beat out. Really skilled players. You know, it can happen. But majority of the time, I got a couple 1vx situations. Nothing huge, like, you know, 3 or 2 or something like that. And I was able just to keep them dotted up, keep cloaking in and out, and you know if they hit those pots in time. Now I do use the immovability pot, so I will say that really quick. So one of the main pots that I choose to use, as I use the essence of immovability with the major intellect. Now I can use trash pots, and I do that sometimes, but that's why I'm using the degen. The degen basically is going to give me the major sorcery, and it's also going to give me a healing effect throughout my weave, because, like, keep in mind, a lot of people like to run drain, so I'm going to be heavy on my weave. When I use my weave, I get the major mending. That really comes in handy, especially if I'm going to use bats, so I can go ahead, weave up heavy, get the bats, throw it down, increase my healing from, you know, an effect. You know, any type of healing effect, even if it's self-sustaining heal. So it really comes in handy with the resto. So yeah, very fast pace. This is a very fast paced build. You know, he moves really fluent. I can just circle around enemies as long as they don't get the detect off. If they get the detect, and I also keep the mage light on too if I need it. That's also can give me the buff from the Might of the Guild, but I don't get the empower. I'd have to rely on potions. Once again, I play things by ear, especially when it's using potions, but also get that passive in Ledgerman that reduces the cost of your stealthing. That comes in handy, you know, especially when you don't have a lot of stamina. All right, but if anybody has any questions or comments about the build, just post below. Mage blades have not gone anywhere. A lot of people they prefer the stamina blade, but in my opinion, I love the mage blade a little bit more than the stam blade, just because of its survivability and its immovability. You know, stand blades definitely have a lot more debuffs to them, that's for sure. But at the same time, you can keep it going a lot, really fast. So I do want to thank everybody for watching. I'm going to cut this feed. I'll be starting another feed. And once again and always, have a nice day.